Welcome to this short clip explaining how I win personal energy. So lately I had been experiencing a couple of problems. I don't really like to call them problems because I know that the words you say to yourself influence your beliefs and your beliefs influence your reality. That's topic for another video. Anyway, I noticed that I had been struggling a lot with negative thoughts. Now I do not have this problem anymore, but the reason I had this was not because it was so hard. It was actually quite hard, but the reason it was hard was because of my energy levels. When you are in a low energy state, everything becomes harder. It's harder to do things. It's harder to get yourself to do stuff that you don't want to do. Harder to, for example, go to the gym. Harder to do any work. It's harder to even be excited about stuff because when you are excited about stuff, usually the action just comes automatically. You don't have to necessarily try to do it. You just do it because you're excited about it. And I didn't have that. I was not excited about my goal, about my reality, about the actions, about the habits, whatever. And I tried to identify what the possible cause was. I I usually have quite a long list of like things I check, which is quite nerdy, but like actual models which I use and have a bunch of rules about to see basically what is the problem and then solve it. It's kind of like a troubleshoot. However, I did not come to resolve the problem. The reason is because I did not remember, because I knew this, I did not remember that energy is always being spent somewhere. So if you feel you're low on energy, know that it's not because you're low on energy, but know that your energy is just being spent elsewhere. So your kind of personal energy is spent somewhere, and you need to get it back. And that's how you're basically going to shift into a high energy state. It's not by acquiring, it's by transforming what is currently being spent. And there's three ways. Luckily, it's very, very simple on how you can actually do this. The first one is promises. Whenever you make a promise to yourself, to other people, you allocate energy towards it. So if you say to yourself, I'm going to do this, but you haven't specifically done it yet, you haven't put the causes into motion to fulfill the promise, you haven't acted on the promise, the energy will be saved up until you complete the action. So if you say, I'm going to go to the gym, by itself, just that thought is going to allocate energy towards the action of going to the gym, towards the task, you could say. It's like an unfinished to do on your list. That allocates energy. And also to other people. So if you promise, I'm going to help you out later this week, that's a promise, that's energy that's now spent here, energy that you cannot use yourself. Now, the easiest way to get rid of this, I will explain in a second. The second one is excess potential. So this is a principle from physics, which basically states that you have energy inside of you could say like, I don't know exactly where it's stored, but there's basically too much energy, excess energy, that's stored waiting to be released. So that's potential energy. It's not yet doing anything. It's like just being. It's not doing anything. So this is typically in a bunch of forms, stuff like basically when you don't see reality for what it is, but you create imbalances. So when you judge other people, when you desire something, when you have guilt, when you love yourself, or when you compare yourself to other people, when you hate yourself because of a specific reason, when you love yourself because of a specific reason, when you're proud of yourself because of a specific reason. Kind of like when you're always seeing what kind of the judgments of the mind. It's very tricky to explain this, but when you see something which is not actually objectively in reality, you create excess potential. Energy starts building up, that's stored, waiting to be released, and until you release the energy, and doubts is also part of this, by the way, doubts, desires, indecision, regret, all of these things are excess potential. And this is going to store up energy. Fear is also excess potential. Emotions destroy the balance and create excess potential. So all of the emotions, all of the bad stuff, all of the comparisons, all of the judgments, money is even a pendulum, desiring money. This creates excess potential. This energy is now stored waiting to be released, and this is where a huge amount of your possible energy is probably kind of stuck. And you need to get it out. Now, there's two ways in which you can get it out, and I'll once again cover these in a second. The final part is toxins, and this was why my personal thing lied, because I had basically dropped all of the promises. I didn't necessarily have a bunch of promises I was executing on. I did not have much excess potential anymore because I went through a process of getting rid of that, which I will share with you in a second. And finally, I had to conclude the final reason might be the toxins. So I found a book in, ironically in Russian, that kind of explains a bunch about nutrition, and I translated this book and really went deep on the specifics. And I discovered that a lot of the foods I was eating were containing or creating toxins in the body, and toxins prevent the flow of energy coming through. So you can imagine like that your energy is like a water pipe, and the water goes in this direction, for example, and toxins would be things that clog up the flow of water. So now the flow of water is no longer smooth, but it's like it cannot go through properly. It's blocked. Basically, that's the key word. It's blocked. So how you get rid of these things? Promises. First of all, execute on them. There's literally two ways. Execute on them or drop them. So drop them meaning you're not going to do them, and it needs to be genuine. You cannot say I'm not going to do this and then actually think in the back of your head I'm still going to do this. That doesn't work. You have to actually drop it. Excess potential. The first one is consciously dropping it. So kind of how and I have a bunch of videos about this as well, but basically reducing the importance of something. And I'm not going to write this out because that's horrible handwriting. But this is, by the way, an example of excess potential, horrible handwriting, because our handwriting is the same. It's subjective how you perceive it. That's another that's another point. The second one is action and doing it specifically without pressure. Because pressure, once again, is a result of stress probably or desire. And let me try and like write T. So act without tension. I don't even know if this is without, but I assume. So reduce importance in this case, which is kind of like not being so attached. So detaching yourself would be the first one. And the second one is action, and then without tension. Because tension creates excess potential. So people that act and they act with tension create a lot of excess potential, and this is going to absolutely backfire them. But if you act without tension, if you act not necessarily like super relaxed, but more so without any specific emotional tension, then this excess potential is going to be released. So the energy from judgment, the energy from comparison, from desire is going to gradually be released. The third one is toxins. So I'm looking into this now, so I wouldn't be able to give you like a very detailed answer straight away. What I am able to tell you is that a lot of the toxins are caused by methods of mass production of foods in today's society. So obviously if you go to the supermarket, there's massive amounts of products, and the products are produced at such a cheap cost so the manufacturer can make profit, and as a result they use various methods and sprays and liquids and like things to make the food longer to like conserve, like longer conserved food, and they just add a bunch of additives. Now, if you're interested, I can link the book or like link some resources. But the basic point is that the more natural the food is, the better. The less natural the food is, the worse. So if you eat natural, whole, healthy plants, that's the most natural. If you eat additive sweets or like very artificial sweeteners or artificial meat, or even artificial meat, by the way, or just meat with a lot of additives or eggs with a lot of stuff, then that's going to clog up your energy meridians, is what this is called. But basically, your energy levels are going to be limited or blocked by these toxins. So your body now is literally not able to have a clear flow of energy because it's blocked. It's like a traffic jam inside of your body. And the way to get rid of it is by kind of there's a bunch of ways to get rid of it. I wouldn't cover them right now, but the main point is just shift to foods that are more natural and also like not treated with heat. So it's very difficult to do this, from my experience, without like losing a lot of calories and protein. So if you are dependent on a lot of calories and protein right now, don't immediately make a massive switch, because that's what I did and it did not treat me well. What I recommend you do instead is just gradually try and see if you could switch out some options. It's very important. If there's one of these three which I could pick, I would pick the third, because promises and excess potential you can always, always, always get rid of. But toxins is a little bit trickier. You cannot immediately get rid of toxins. So that's kind of the personal story. I don't even know if I mentioned a personal story, but that's completely fine. Like, the reason was because I had a lot of stress, and I thought, okay, let's remove the promises, let's remove the excess potential, let's check out the toxins. And it seemed to be the toxins, and now I'm making the shift towards a cleaner diet and learning a lot of things about that. So this has served me really well. I hope you enjoyed this short rant slash video. There's a free email course in the description if you're interested in actual explanations of this stuff. And with that said, if you enjoyed it, leave a like, and hope I will see you in the next video.